Yeah, after a while, the guys decided it wasn't too bad after all. Because I didn't ever ask the guys to load my cattle or help me any way with the cattle. But I did expect them to open a door for me. And they did. They were really, all of them treated me really good. And, but at the end, the auctioneer and the ringmen, if I wanted something, they'd say, "I've got Joanne." Nobody bid against me. I was really, honest to God. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Or if it was my calves that I brought back, they just found all kinds of bids in the attic, and yeah, they made sure that I made it. Yeah, they really were very successful.
They were probably pretty proud of you.
Yeah.
Because you were successful on
yeah.
your own.
Yeah, like they said, I wasn't dependent on them to load my cattle. But one day, well, this is going quite a ways ahead, but I had just an ad, I read an ad in the paper all the time, and at that time I lived in Parker. And a man came by must have been at Thanksgiving. I was in the middle of cooking a big dinner, and he wanted to know if I would be interested in running cattle on 300 acres. I'm like, wow, what an opportunity. And yeah, and it was, we lived in Parker, and it was just across I-25, that whole mountain was, yeah, my gosh, my dream came true. I could have my own ranch. But what I didn't know is you really don't look at a fence with binoculars. The fencing around that place was not good. But George helped me, and we had to really fix a lot of fences and stuff. But the guy, the deal was, and I couldn't figure it out at first, that he would pay for the cows, anything that I bought, and any profit was mine. And it worked out. I thought, man, this is great. And the reason he was doing it, he had a lot of money, but it was a wonderful tax write-off for that man.
Right.
As you kept a place in agriculture, the taxes became totally nothing. And that's where I came in for him. But he didn't know what to do. I mean, he was really admiring what I did too. But I'd go and I'd buy cows. Then I got to buy pregnant cows. I didn't have to bottle feed anymore. I'd buy the pregnant cows and bring them home and let them have their babies. And it was just so wonderful to be able to do that. And I didn't ride a horse. They couldn't believe that. But in my truck, the cattle knew it. After a while, I'd take pellets and feed them, spoil them real quick. And they'd hear my truck coming, and here they'd come. And before long, I bought a set of stock racks, portable stock racks. And I could stop my truck and trailer and jump out and build a little corral really quick with these portable pens. And back my trailer up to that, and before long, I was in Fort Collins with a load. Yeah.
All by yourself.
All by myself. I could do that. Yeah. Oh, but one day, I had one cow that would not stay in, no matter what. And I had a really good friend that would come over and help me if the animals got loose, whatever. He was a black guy. I cannot remember his name. But he used to come and he was a wonderful roper. And he'd chase whatever got loose for me. Yeah. But anyhow, I had this cow that would not stay home. And one day I was off to the sale course, and I had Betty, my next door neighbor. She was going to be a livestock dealer too. She thought my life was exciting. So I talked her into buying baby goats, pygmy goats. But she didn't like it near like I did. So one day she said, "Would you take them all back to the sale for me?" I said, "Sure." So I'm coming by the ranch, and the ones right before Calista Highway, I saw they had a bunch of cowboys out there, and they were really having a roundup. So I stopped and I said, can you get my cow out of that whole mess? And they said, sure. So I had to unload all of those baby goats, put them in the front in the cab of the truck with me. So I could open the end gate, let that cow hopefully get in. Well, they finally got her up there and got her in there, and she damn near tore my trailer apart. She was the meanest thing you ever met. So anyhow, then I got all these goats. Well, I'm driving up the road, and I couldn't put her in the front. She would not move up to the front of the trailer. So here I go up the road, and my trailer's going like this because all the weight was on the end of the trailer, the back of the trailer. And so I stopped in front of, and it would happen to be a State Farm place where I stopped, and I'm sorting goats and trying to get the goats in there. It's when it didn't make the newspaper. Trying to make a place for me to drive. And I couldn't get that cow. She still would not move up to the front. So finally I made it to Fort Collins and unloaded her. And I looked out there and everybody's standing up on top of the fence. I'm like, what the heck? She had put everybody, that cow she knocked everybody up, you know, and they're all getting out of her way, boy. So I would go on into the sale and sitting by this guy. I never saw him before. And pretty soon I looked down, here come my cow. She walked as nice as she could be. And they give a big speech about how she's been preg tested. Well, you know, nobody got near enough to test her. Oh, and then, so I looked at this guy's bidding on her. Oh my God, oh no. And she looked so beautiful. And he bought her. So after the sale went out, and I saw a lot of excitement going on in there again. Here that cow was clearing everything. They finally got her up into his truck with stock racks. She tore the stock racks loose on his truck. Here the cow's off and running again.
But it's not your problem.
I never did let. I hope he never knew it was my cow. But it was nice enough because several of us took our trailers and tried to build a big enough pen to catch her again. Oh God, the things that I did.
Now, there's a story I'd like to hear about. You lost some cattle?
Oh yeah, I became a livestock distributor. Yeah, it was in the middle of December, and I'd gone to Lyman for cattle, and the weather was kind of Colorado, like snowy and stuff, but I thought if I get there, you know, and hurry up and get right back, I'll be all right. So I bought a load of cattle, and coming back, and it's snowing. It was snowing, and a car comes by me, and he's pointing and pointing and pointing, and I'm like, what? And so he got me to stop. Well, the cattle were sliding out from under the India because they were slipping. I lost 4 big steers out in the middle of nowhere, out of Lyman. Oh yeah. And
you lost it. I mean,
I fell out.
Yeah, but they never. Did you ever see him again?
Yeah, it took a long time. But I got
Amazing.
Ray and
Oh.
some of his friends come out there in horses. And, we looked and looked and looked for it. But the good thing about having the livestock license and the brand inspector, nobody could have taken that cow and butchered it even without having the brand papers on. So, well, we caught 3 of them eventually. Took a long time. They were pretty beat up, boy. I took 3 of them to the guy I bought them for at a feedlot. These were bigger cows, not baby cows. And oh God, they were beat up. They looked terrible. And what happened?
I'll let
I couldn't. And they, boy, because I'd bring them in one at a time. Wherever we'd find one. But he was pretty nice about it. He said, I'll give you what you paid for them, but there ain't no commission on these. But Christmas Eve, I got a phone call that they had found my last cow.
Oh,
So
what
that
a
was
gift.
Christmas. Yeah. The life of a livestock dealer.
And from stories you've told, I understand that was something you chose. You had a passion for animals, but as a youngster, you wanted to be a veterinarian.
I did.
So it kind
you
of
had to
moved
go
you
to
naturally.
school.
Exactly. So that didn't work.
That
but-
didn't fit my program either.
So cattle dealer was fit your program.
Yeah. And at Fort Collins, right next to the livestock dealer place, was a veterinarian place, and they were really nice. They really
Oh.
talked you through. Because I was the vet too for all my animals. I mean, you couldn't afford to hire a veterinarian.
Right.
Yeah.
You did a lot of veterinarian, if that's the right word, for all your animals. Tell us more about that.
Oh, you had to learn how to take care of your own animals. You couldn't afford to have a veterinarian out all the time. You had to give them shots, depending on what was wrong with them. Even give them a lot of, what's that pink medicine in the bottle for diarrhea? There's a lot.
Pepto-Bismol.
Pepto-Bismol worked good on cattle. Yeah, you pour it down their throats.
With the tube.
Yeah. Yeah. Looked out one day, I had a bunch of cattle out there. And this was after I was married in Parker. And George, I'm sure, didn't know what I spent his checks on. They all went to the sale barn. But then I'd make some money, and he never knew for sure what was what. I mean, he didn't care. It was wonderful. He never, ever questioned what I did. But I looked out my kitchen window, and there was a bunch of cattle all tipped over. They'd bloated. Oh. And I did call a vet that time because you have to take a tow car, it's called, and poke it inside of them. You have to hit the right spot. And to let the gas out of them. Yeah, there's a lot of tricks you gotta learn to take care of animals.